Good morning, my beautiful soul, for another episode of the Sacred Roots podcast. Today, we're going to talk about how life is a co-creation. It's a dance, really. I talk a lot about the dance between the feminine and the masculine, and the dance between the goddess, the universe, and you is pretty similar, actually, because you're going to be exchanging roles, exchanging energies. Sometimes one's going to take action and then the other. And the more you can understand how that dance works, who starts, who continues, who finishes, the more you can actually see where you're at and how you can become better at being a sacred dancer with the goddess. So your life and what you are experiencing on a day-to-day basis is really the result of your energy, your actions, but also the energy, the actions of the divine. And really often, the energy, the actions of the divine actually happen through other people. So because you guys, you and the goddess, you and the universe, you and the divine are creating your life together, this means that you cannot control your life. Sorry to break the news to you, but you cannot. And even though I'm sure you've done amazing courses that teach you how to manifest, even though you do have a lot of power to create the life that you live in, you can create it. You cannot control it. You can actually not control the outcome. So if you want to manifest something, the love of your life, a dream house, a 7-figure business, whatever it is that you really desire to experience and to create, that co-creation is going to involve the divine. And if it's meant for you, if it's part of what your soul came to experience, if you are evolving and becoming an energetical match for that to happen in your life, you're going to receive what you desire. But if it's actually not aligned with who you came here to be, if there's something better waiting for you, you're not going to be receiving that. And so I love the teachings around manifestations because it gives you the power and the awareness that your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions create your reality, and that you can impact your reality by changing what you believe and how you feel. And I think it's really beautiful because it gives you a lot of power. It's very empowering. But the trap is that you can fall into this idea that you control your life. You don't. Everything that you receive is a gift from the divine. Everything that you even buy yourself is love from the divine. Your life is a co-creation, and the universe, the divine, the goddess is imbued in every single thing. So it's very important to understand that the more you can surrender to that dance and trust that the plan that the divine has for you is greater what you can even imagine, the more you actually open yourself to the magic of life. So in this idea that life is a co-creation, I really see it as a dance, a sacred dance between you and the divine. Because imagine you're dancing with someone. Maybe it's always the man leading and you're following. Or maybe one is leading and then the other. Or maybe nobody is leading and it's very intuitive. But the way it works is that sometimes you're moving forward, sometimes the universe is moving forward. And then you have to rest, of course. So that's why I like to use the example of a dance, because sometimes you take action and sometimes you don't. But the truth is that this dance, in order to activate this co-creation and dance, you have to begin. You're the leader. And if you've listened to some of my previous podcasts, you know that I always teach that the feminine is the leader. The feminine is the visionary, because the feminine is the one that's tapped in, the intuitive, that's connected to the soul. It's the beingness. And in that beingness, you can connect with your soul desires. And so these soul desires, once they excite you and you really want to birth them, you have to claim them, you have to express them. You have to say, okay, this is what I want. I don't really know how, but this is what I want. And once you've declared it, then you become a follower. Then the universe takes over, the goddess takes over by sending you some signs. And in last week's episode, I shared the 4 different kinds of signs that the universe is sending to you in that co-creative process. And so that's why surrender is so important in this co-creative process, because you need to surrender to the signs that you're receiving. You need to surrender that to the opportunities that are suddenly showing up in your life that you might be surprised to be receiving. And you need to soften enough and trust enough and open yourself enough to receive that guidance. Because if you're stuck in your mind, trying to control everything, wondering how it's going to unfold, thinking it should probably happen this and this and this way, but never the other way, you're keeping yourself from receiving guidance and signs. And the more you can find beauty in this dance, allow it to unfold, the more fun it's going to be. Sometimes my way of communicating with the divine is actually pretty fun. And sometimes I just tell the goddess, all right, I've done what I could. I put myself out there. I've talked to many people. Now, if you want this to happen, universe, you take over. You find the right people to come to my programs. You find the right house for us to live in. You find the right publisher for my book, because I've done my part. It didn't work out, but I'm just teeny, 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 tiny compared to your power. And so even though I do have a lot of power in creating my reality, the power that we have, it's like comparing a fruit with a huge tree. It's nothing. It's teeny tiny. So your role really in that sacred dance is to lead at first. At first, you're going to lead by being clear on what you want and declaring it. That is your unique leading role. Once you've done that, it's time for you to become a follower. You can create space so that as if, you know, what you wanted was already there. You create space for it to come. You create space to take care of it. You get ready for it to come into your life, right? And then you act as if it was already there, because that is allowing you to become an energetical match for that thing to come into your life. And we live in a world of energies. You're not going to receive anything if you're not ready for it, if you're not an energetical match for it. And then you're going to be receiving all those signs from the universe. And your role is to follow the guidance. Your role is to surrender and to take action when it's time to take action, and to rest when it's time to rest. So your role is pretty simple. You get clarity on what you want and you declare it. You create space for it because it's coming. You don't doubt it. You just don't know when, but you get ready for it. You act as if it was already there so that you can be an energetical match for it. And then you follow the guidance, you follow the signs, you surrender to them, you trust, and you take aligned action when you feel like taking action. The goddess role, on the other hand, is much greater than that. Her role is to figure out the how. You want a 7-figure business? Let's see how it could come to you in the most fun, flowy, creative, impactful, and purposeful way. She's going to figure out the how. And then she's going to send you all those signs that I was talking about in my previous podcast, and I highly recommend you to listen to it. Signs, she's going to send to you alignment, growth opportunities. She's going to send to you trigger events, karma events that are there to put you back on track. She's going to send you answers to questions you've asked, more clarity on your path, confirmations that you're going in the right direction. She's going to send you signs, suggestions of things to do, and feelings that are pushing you to take action, and the aligned action, of course. And then it's also important to understand that the universe works at the 11th hour. The goddess works at the 11th hour. From our perspective, It is the 11th hour. It's pretty last minute. Or like, damn it, this was really short. Of course, you succeeded because you're the goddess. But that was stressful until the end. But that's our human perspective. From the spiritual, energetical perspective, everything was already happening at the 8th, 9th, 10th hour. But you weren't able to see it. It materializes at the 11th hour because it doesn't need to materialize before. Think about the sun. You really want the sun to get up at 7 a.m. If you check your clock at 2 a.m. and you're like, is the sun going to come up? Is the sun going to come up? You're not going to see the sun. If you get out again at 3 a.m., all right, is the sun going to come up? It's not going to come up. It's going to come up at 7 a.m. because that's what you asked for. And you're like, oh, okay, my God, 7 a.m. Right on time. But what you didn't know is that the sun was rising, was moving and getting ready to get up at 7 a.m. for you. So from a human perspective, we always feel like it's pretty much last minute, but it's actually the perfect timing. And when you don't get what you want, it's because it wasn't meant to be. Because there's a greater plan that's going to unfold, or because you still need to evolve and be an energetical match for that thing to come into your life. And of course, the way it works is that the goddess is going to respond to you. She's always going to tune into your energy. How are you feeling today? What are you doing? She's always observing, sensing you, and she's responding to that. She's sending you the right signs, alignment opportunities, karmic events, all of that in response to who you're being, to what you're believing, how you're feeling, what you identify with. And so that is where your power lies. It's by working on those beliefs, emotions, identities. The more you can release them, the more you can call in what you want. But the truth is that you're not creating it. It's a co-creation. And you're receiving it. You're receiving what you desire because you're ready for it, because you've done the inner work to have it, because you can contain it energetically. So your power lies into knowing what you want and then getting ready for it because it's coming. There's no question if it's coming or not. The question is when. And that's really something that I have observed in my life. I always get what I have asked for, always. Just not always when I wanted it. I might have to ask 2-3 times more or do the inner work to be ready for it. And so this is also an important lesson because it also means that don't settle for less. Really get clear on what you want and then wait for it to come. Because it's done. In another now moment, you're going to have it. But in order to call in that other now moment in your life and quantum leap and jump timelines, you have to do the inner work. Acting as if it was already there and becoming an energetical match for that thing to come into your life. That's where your power resides. The rest really is the goddess's work. And it's pretty big work. She's pretty magical. Pretty sure you agree. That's why you're listening to my podcasts. All right. This was it for today. This was everything that I wanted to share with you. We dive much deeper into that in the Surrender course. It's now closed. I might be teaching it live again in the summer. I don't know yet. Maybe I will just be offering it as an online course. Maybe I'll be teaching it again as a live course. I'll see in that moment. I'll surrender to what my heart wants, what my soul is telling me to do. But in the meantime, I really invite you to take this wisdom into your life and to ask yourself, what is it really that I want? And let's be honest, am I ready to have this? Because really often we say, oh, we want to have a program with 15 people. But we're not actually ready from a nervous system perspective to hold space for 15 people. or our finances are not figured out to be able to accept so many payments, or we don't have the capacity, the space, the time to work with so many people, and so we need to hire a VA. Sometimes it can be hard to be honest with ourselves, but it's the greatest gift you can give to you, because it sets you free and it helps you move forward in the direction that you want. So get really clear on what you want. Try also to be really honest with yourself. Is this an ego desire or a soul's desire? You can go back to episode 37 to figure that out. And if it's a soul desire, how can you become a match for that thing to come into your life? Are you actually ready to have that into your life? How can you create space? How can you release the limiting beliefs or the emotions that are getting in the way from having this? I know this sounds really simple when I say it like that, but it's a whole journey. I know you're aware of it. I hope this wisdom that I shared with you today is supporting you, though, in this journey. And I'm really excited to see this transform your life and co-create your best life and really that unique path that you came here to walk. I will see you in next week's episode. And in the meantime, take really good care of yourself. And thank you so much for listening to me. Feel free to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or share this on Instagram so that this wisdom can reach more women and change more lives. See you soon. Bye-bye.